Today we'll be making a stylised copper oak leaf pendant. These are the basic tools I'll be using. I'll start by doing a drawing of whatever I'd like to cut out. So in this case it would be the stylised oak leaf. I'm doing this freehand. You can print it out from the internet or whatever you like. So I'm just directly transferring the image freehand onto the copper using a pen. Sharpies are always handy, they don't rub off when you're cutting. If you have printed the image from a book or from the internet, you can stick it directly onto the metal using a glue stick, because when you cut it with the saw, you can just cut straight through the paper, so it might be easier. So once the image is on the metal, we'll be using a jeweller saw to cut it out. Now, jeweller saws use very fine blades, which can be removed from the frame. In order to place it on the frame, you run your nail up to find the cutting edge, with the points will be pointing downwards towards you, and then you attach one end of the blade to the top of the saw. Put a bit of pressure on the handle, pushing in to make some tension on the blade, and then tighten up. When the tension is correct, you should get a nice sound when you ping it, like that. So I'm just drawing a line on a bit of scrap metal so I can show the technique of starting. So run the blade up a couple of times and then you can gently bring it down. You cut without putting pressure on the blade, so you let the saw do the work. You don't push it or push the metal. When you have a curve, it's always a good idea to move the metal rather than the saw blade, otherwise you could risk snapping the blade. Beeswax is very useful for helping lubricate the blade, especially if you've used the blade previously on other bits of metal and they're a little bit blunt. It allows the blade to move a lot smoother through the metal. Here I'm starting the oak leaf and keeping the blade perpendicular to the metal is always advisable. If you try and tilt the blade, it could get stuck, or again the blade could snap. When you are cutting, if the blade feels like it is getting stuck, you can just add a little bit more beeswax. Running down the blade rather than up the blade will stop the beeswax from getting stuck in the grooves of the blade, which will make the blade last longer. And here we have the piece cut out from the metal. In the second part, we'll be looking at forming the metal into a more leaf-like shape.